Okay, so in one of my last videos, I did talk about the units that we were going to be getting. Now, I didn't go into too much detail and kind of just wrote them off and just said skip. Now, I do want to go more into depth than that, break down their kits and talk about how exactly they're going to work now and in the future, and especially hone in on one unit in particular. Now, I'm going to give a free-to-play plan and also the plan that I'm doing as a low spender in this game. So if you want to see, these are the pulls that I've got. At this point in time, these are all pulls I've gotten free to play, besides maybe 10 limited pulls in total. The rest is free to play and is going to stay probably at least for another 2 weeks, most likely. So I've got a lot of time to save up, and so will you guys too. Now, before we get into this, there is 3 banners incoming. However, the banner schedule is actually not going quicker, right? We are not speeding up, and I'm going to explain that in a moment. Now, the 3 units coming is going to be Marian, Yui, and Fox. 2 of which we do know as original units, and I don't even think we've seen Marian yet, unless I'm tweaking. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen Marian. So these are going to be the 3 units upcoming, and we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty of them. But before we do that, we have to talk about something. So the banner schedule did not fasten. It did not get quicker. Essentially, what they did is that they only basically released them a little earlier. However, they have the same end date. So let's say they were only 2 weeks. Then guess what? This is when they would have released. However, they have the same end date. So because they have the same end date, basically all they did is just give us an extra 2 weeks with these banners, where on CN, they had 2 weeks. We have 4 weeks with limited banners. Because of that, because of how this works, we have not sped up. And if you want a more in-depth explanation, please check out the other video. I will link it down below. But I do not want anyone to worry in terms of speed up for the banners. No, the next unit we should get will probably most likely be on the 7th after Fox. But I can't be 100% certain on that. Actually, no, it's certain because in 36 days is August 7th, which then means that, yes, the next unit after Fox will be on the 7th, because if there was a unit before then, we would have actually seen them in a battle pass. So yeah, no, we're literally not speeding up. They're just, the banners are lasting longer. That's it. Because if the banners weren't extended to 4 weeks, well, guess what? Fox would have come out on the 7th and everything would have literally stayed the same. Okay, now, first of all, we have Marian. So Marian is going to be a support, and let's talk about a bit of info regarding her banner. So Marian is going to be a standard banner unit. That means when her banner ends, which would be on the 23rd, you will actually be able to pull her on every banner afterwards, and then also very importantly, you will be able to get them on the standard banner. Now, one thing that's very uncertain is how it's going to be. For example, if Marian's banner ends, these are the dates we have. These are the global dates. If Marian's banner ends, is she going to be on Yui's banner? Because the thing is with CN and TW is that they only had one banner up at once, where we're going to have Marian and Yui up at the same time because they extended Yui's banner schedule. So as of right now, what we know is that they will be implemented onto standard. Now, what they're going to do with the other banners, we'll have to see. However, you could basically get Marian everywhere afterwards. And that's why I personally am saving my gold tickets as of right now. We're at 55. I should get closer, probably to around 100. I do not think 100 is out of the ballpark. I think that's pretty much what we should get by then. So it's going to be very good. Now, one thing very good is that on TW, I'm going to mention the TW banners for this. However, can it change? 1000%. For TW, her side banner units, so the 4 stars in the same manner of Joker's banner, are going to be very good ones, actually. So we see here that there's Leon, Seiji, and Shun. Now, is it going to stay this way? I'm not sure. But if it does stay this way, Marian's banner has a lot of value. I'm being dead ass. If we're looking at it, Seiji is still going to be quite good, and getting dupes in Seiji even further, like he's on Joker's banner, but maybe getting further would be good. However, what's really important would be Leon. Okay, Leon would be someone super good with dupes, because on dupe 4 and 6, basically, he's going to be able to give more crit damage to the team, and especially with Ryuji, this is going to be very good. So in terms of overall 4-star banner value, even Shun is okay, but these two are the highlights because they're genuinely usable. Marian has a lot of value in that regard. However, what we need to talk about furthermore is her kit. So does her kit live up to the side banner units? Let's see. So her ult is basically going to be a pretty strong heal. 17.6% of her HP plus a 1500 HP, dispelling debuff, and then also more max HP up to 2300 for 2 turns, which is huge. Now this max HP increase is going to let her heal on her other skills more, and then also even more, right? More healing. Now healing, as we know in this game, is still very important, and when she comes out, she's going to be in a good spot to where it's like we're going to need her still, right? She's going to be very, very good in that case. And then furthermore, increases all allies' max HP in the same way, kind of like a navigator. She's going to be able to give an extra 1500 max HP to the allies, which is huge. And then this is where she becomes peak. Whenever she heals, the targeted ally is going to be getting a damage boost, which is why she's so good. Genuinely why she's so good. Now, this is, to my understanding, the Nectar is going to be a max HP increase. I will correct myself if I'm wrong in the pinned or in the video while I'm editing. Now, you're also able to just get more, which is gonna be huge. You're gonna be able to increase your max HP more the same way you're able to on the highlight ult, which is big. Now, the skill 3 is gonna be an AoE heal, consuming the nectar, healing the main target with the damage boost because of the passive, which is absolutely huge, and then also doing more AoE heals. And it's just more healing, right? The bear, like, she's basically healing while giving a damage boost. Now, her skill 2 is going to be pretty neat. In instances where you need to remove debuffs, you're actually going to be able. So that's something to keep in mind. And then, yeah, you're able to get one more stack of nectar. That's cool. One here. Bada bing, bada boom. So, Marian is actually very, very good. Now, my personal plan, and I'll give what most people should say, is probably going to be that I'm either going to skip or do one pity. Now, I'm saying for free-to-plays, what should you do with Marian? She is going to stay very good because her support and healing is just very good. I think everyone should do a pity. Now, if you want to summon, I think the most you should do is a pity. And if you're kind of uncertain and probably leaning towards not summoning because you have a lot of gold pulls, I think you're more than valid to not summon. Now, I think doing one pity is not going to hurt you. The reason being, just hint, I would say there's not a lot, like, you're going to get a lot of currency. Mainly that's mainly it. Doing a pity by this point, especially if you're rerolled as a free-to-play, will be your best case scenario. Because of that, I do think it is actually a very good idea to do a pity. Now, why else would you do that? Because if you lose your 50-50, then you're still fine. Why is that? Because you're able to, like, losing on her is going to suck, but at least you're able to get the 4 stars, right? If the 4-star roster is good, even losing is not going to be a bad idea. So that's something we have to keep in mind, that losing, if you get the good 4 stars, is still fine, and then you're gonna have your guaranteed on the other unit. And at the same time, with Marian, as she is a standard banner unit, you're gonna have your lifeline of gold pulls to fall back on, which I think you really need to keep in mind. So as of right now for free to plays, I would say do pulls, especially if you need Leon and Seiji dupes, if this is the banner. Now, if the banners do change, I will update that and I will update the guide. But as of right now, I think we're pretty safe to actually go for this, right? So this is Marian, very good healer. Now, let's say for like low spenders to pay to wins, I honestly think going for a like 1 copy at bare minimum is very good, because the dupe 1, honestly, I'm kind of considering going for it, right? I've seen this pen, and basically you're going to be shredding 20% defense whenever Marian's on the team. And this is going to be huge. And when are you overhealing? Let me see. Oh, almost all the time. So because of that, I definitely think that Marian is going to be very useful. Damage increase, penetration on dupe 1. As a standard banner unit, this is going to give her a ton of value. Next unit is going to be Yui. So Yui and also Marian released at the same time, like we see over here. They both released on the 10th or the 9th of June, depending on where you are. We're going to get more info as we approach, so it's not really that big of a deal. So, Yui, her banner, we have to talk about the banner itself first. Now, this one is definitely worse. And she is a limited unit, keep that in mind. If you're not sure, or if you like Yui, you do have a month to summon for her. And a lot of times in these gachas, and you know, especially I've been watching R and Arrow recently for BBS, you know, a lot of the times for these banners, when you have a month, it's very much a fine idea to just wait till the end of the banner, especially to see what we have coming afterwards. Now, it's very different than Marian, because Marian is just going to stay good, where the 2 units on the bottom are going to definitely be case by case. Now, I personally do not see a use for Motoha. She's not really that good. Now, it seems like they're trying to push her with Yui, as Yui is also electric, but I just do not see it. I mean, like, I just want to see as reference, like, future proof, like both Yui and Motoha are not exactly the greatest. And what doesn't help is the amount of electrics being pretty much bare bone and zero, and also Cord not working with how Yui's kit works. So Kyoshi is decent for on. However, the thing is not that necessary when first of all there is Luful, but in terms of supports, not only is there Yao Ling, but there is also Leon, which now especially, right? So there is right now, like you're able to get Luful, and then right, Leon is going to be on Marian's banner. So those are going to be enough for your two actual damage buffers to where you don't really need Kyoshi. You don't need Motoha. And I feel like most people just need one dupe of Kaio, like one copy and you're fine. So in terms of 4 stars, the overall quality is a lot worse in my opinion, significantly worse. So just based off of 4 stars, I do not think she is worth your pulls. However, Yui herself is also not that good. So basically how she works is off of follow-ups. So whenever other allies do an attack, she's able to do follow-ups. So here you're able to see that. So the follow-up itself has a base rate of 35%, which is the overall problem. Now the damage numbers are not the lowest if we're being real, like kind of compared to like your Joker or your On, and just kind of go from there if we're looking at these two, right? Joker's skill 3, like he's doing 2 times a 74 and shit like that, but of course there's a lot of buffs that go into this. There's also the damage here, the attack here, but then On has like 200%. But once again, damage increase, so on and so forth. But the overall scaling is not horrible. However, there's a lot of things that kind of go wrong. And first of all, it's the RNG. Second of all, it's the need to use her highlight for her to really have that guaranteed for one turn and for it to do good damage. Because you can see here, follow-ups will increase, or attack is going to increase and follow-up damage will increase. Now, what I personally do not like is that you do also like kind of need to use the skill 3, and you can basically guarantee some follow-ups, which will be good. However, the overall damage is not crazy enough for her to be overall number 1 long term. However, for right now, saying she's going to be horrible is probably wrong. Okay, definitely, I will say, I don't think she's going to be fucking tier 5 like she is in TW. No, 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 no. Also, it's the fact that only doing one follow-up isn't going to be that crazy. Like 130% extra when you consider like she's not doing that much base damage, right? That's the main thing. Her ult doesn't do damage. This doesn't do damage. So you're basically relying on the actual follow-ups. You need to hit this, right? And you need to make sure your the ally you choose to like be the 100% guaranteed follow-up does, right? It, first of all, is an attacker, which shouldn't be that hard realistically. But second of all, you need to like get the RNG with the other units, right? The other allies, which then is the RNG problem. If you could hit the RNG, that's great. But the problem is having all your allies, first of all, also be like attackers is not going to happen, because if it's going to be a buff, you're not going to be able to proc the follow-up. So because you cannot proc follow-ups on buffs, that is where Yui's problem ends up coming up. Follow-up units do require pretty much teams that only have attacks. And then the other problem is when Cord is a buffer, right? Cord is the other SSR, what is it? Electric? I keep calling it lightning or electro, but yeah, no, that is the problem. You got like 2 support skills and then another one. So yeah, no, it's just unusable with the future units in electric. And I don't know, they kind of fucked up with Yui's kit. But early on, if you want to use her, I think it's okay. But in my opinion, the rating I give her is basically only summon if you really like her design and overall just kind of personality and everything, and her as a character. Besides that, she is a skip. Her banner's not good enough. She is not good enough. So next is going to be Fox. Fox is going to be the next unit coming afterwards on the 23rd. So 2 weeks afterwards. All right. Now, I think it does depending on where you are, because I think for me, if we check the goals right now, if we check the pass, right, you go to 50, it should change, because for me, I think it's like, yeah, it's the 9th and then the 23rd. So it's a bit confusing. I'm not too sure, but this is right. I think these 2 dates on top were wrong, but I digress. I apologize. I did make this graph. Now, he's going to be out for a month also, the same as Yui, and leave on the 20th. Now, overall, I will say he is unfortunately a bit of a skip. Now, why is that? His 3-4 stars are not the best, okay? So we got Tomoko. Now, Tomoko is okay as a support. Now, I do like using the tier list, I'm not going to lie, because it's kind of classified such a good way. Now, if we look at it, like, there are better supports. I would say, like, the thing is, overall, you're usually going to have like Yao Ling, Leon, and Haruna. However, I'm only saying like, Kiyoshi. The thing is with Kiyoshi, you also have to keep in mind, Kiyoshi could work with On, and then you wouldn't really need Tomoko in those instances. But besides that, I don't think summoning on a banner specifically for Tomoko makes sense. And then we got Yukimi, which isn't really also too crazy. I don't think a defense increaser is like overall the best, so unfortunate for her. And then Kotone, unfortunately, also not that crazy. I mean, CCs don't work too well, especially on SRs. I feel like CCs need a lot more to really, really go crazy. So in terms of 4 stars, the value is not exactly there. And then we go over to Fox himself, Yusuke Kitagawa, and let's get into this. So he works as a counter unit, basically. Whenever he is hit on a baseline, he has a 65% chance to actually do an attack of 66% defense. So being a defense DPS can definitely be okay at this point in time, because it's going to basically make it that it's going to be very hard to kill you. So he's also able to get his shield, right? So this shield is definitely going to be quite good. I mean, you're going to need with this extra damage bonus, but he's going to have a lot of almost too many things that are going to need to kind of go up. And the biggest problem from what I'm understanding, especially on TW, is that there's no really defense buffers to go with him in terms of letting him scale a lot higher. So that is a bit of a problem where other units get their damage bonus and attack bonus. He doesn't work with set attack bonuses. So I think his biggest letdown is going to be the fact that he does not have someone to scale with, because him not having that defense buff could definitely, or him having that defense buff would make him a lot better. And at the same time, I definitely think what is nice is that he has this taunt going for him, which then allows him to get the counters in, right? Because you have this here. And because of that, it's going to be quite good. However, I think what he's missing is pretty much just the like literally just having someone to help him buff his defense. Now, I would say he's definitely, in my opinion, going to be a little overall better than Yui, but I think that the biggest problem is really just we're not going to see a defense buffer. So then long term, even for the next year on global, there's really no value for him, unfortunately. But on global launch, I think especially if you're trying to just do auto a lot, he's not going to be bad. However, that's really his only redeeming quality. So keep that in mind, that I'm trying to find something, but no, he is a skip. So all this, right, all this explanation, just kind of wanted to really get you guys understanding the kit, right? He's a counter unit, able to do a lot of damage here, right? That's the thing. He does quite decent damage. However, every time he hits the same person, because this is 92% 5 times, the more times he hits the same person, the less damage it does, which does become kind of an issue when you're doing single target. So that's the unfortunate thing. Single target, he's not going to be amazing. And then AoE at the same time, it's just not enough damage, right? To really warrant using him over others, especially like Joker. So I would definitely say that Yusuke is unfortunately a skip next to his banner. So where exactly does this place Joker's banner now? And that's something very important. Honestly, I think he's pretty much a must summon. Now, the main reason is that even on launch, he, compared to the TW launch, is even better because they have done buffs that were immediately implemented into his kit on global launch, because TW had buffs that were just immediately there for global, which is great. And he's going to be very good in terms of auto, in terms of grinding, in terms of just bossing right now. He's definitely someone you really do want to get, in my personal opinion. And it's only going to be in 15 months when there's going to be someone who's going to be a competitor. But even at that, we don't exactly know what Barry's doing. So as of right now, Joker is the summon, and then afterwards, the only one for the next month after Joker you're summoning on is going to be maybe Marian. However, even her you can skip. Of course, keep in mind, they could always change the banner. That's something very important. If they change the banner and put better units, I definitely think that could definitely change it up a bit. But as of right now, in terms of overall kits, in terms of everything, the only unit that you want to summon for between the 3 coming and the last 3 coming until August 7th would be Marian. That's the only one you summon for, and then you get to skip the other 2 unless you really like these units. I know Yusuke, some people did want to summon for him, but hey, I'm giving you guys the facts, I'm giving you guys the information to then let you guys make your plan. So now that we're done, Once again, I just hope that you guys understand that the banner's schedule is not speeding up, because if it were, then these banners would have been only 2 weeks, but they are instead a month. So, we are kind of in good hands, in my personal opinion. We're fine. And honestly, in a way, it is kind of a W, besides the people who kind of spend on everything the minute it comes out. However, we're really chilling. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. Thank you guys for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.